Hello, and thank you so much for embarking on a very, very brave journey of learning with me today. If you're watching this video, it is because you know that you're stuck in somewhere in your business and you are looking for a way forward. You likely feel overwhelmed, unsure of what direction to go in next. Then this is the online course for you to help you to get on track with your business and with your ideas, just so that you begin to work in a more strategic and efficient way than you have been up to now. I've been an entrepreneur since 1993, and I know that one of the most challenging things for me is to understand where I need to be focusing and why. If you're anything like me, if you're a creative mind like me, then you're going to have a bunch of ideas that you're going to want to try out and never really sure whether you're backing the right horse at any given time. So what I'm going to do for you, hopefully with this little exercise in this online course, is to help you to just focus in on what is most important for you so that you can get yourself moving forward in an efficient way that makes sense and with a plan that you can stick to. So I have an online tool that is available to you, and it is available for download to use free. So what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to share my screen, and then I will show you. All right. Then I will show you how the tool looks. I'll talk you through the tool, and if you want to download this and use it all on your own, you're welcome. And hopefully this will help you to understand how you can do that. So this is available to download, and you can either just use it as a video to support creating a process for yourself, or you can actually use the slides as a framework to create your own plan. So before we can have any sensible conversation about a strategy, we need to do the foundational work, and that means that we need to see, what do you have? So this is the part where you write down what you know, and you write down the parts of the work that are already done. And you'll see that I've structured it in a way that we get the basics, we get kind of a snapshot of what you're doing without getting too much into details about products. So you will start by populating your slides with your logo, your colors, your fonts, all of that. So you will set up your slides to represent who you are. Perhaps if you are an established business, you already have something like this, a slide presentation with your business culture and core values already set up. Then you could use that to begin this process. And you could just upload that into Canva and start with that, and then just flesh it out with these other suggestions that I have in this presentation. So on the second slide, you would add your business name, your byline. Now your byline, that's that catchy phrase that people associate with your business. And it really, really does help to have one. Perhaps if you don't have one, then this is an opportunity to think about what it should be and to add it to this presentation. And then also add over here, what is your unique selling point? Why do people buy your product rather than the next person's product? And this is quite important to think about always. And your unique selling point will also inform how you plan your strategies online using your social networks. Because if you don't know what differentiates you, you can't create differentiated messaging that's going to help you to stand out in a very noisy landscape. Then I also encourage you to tell your personal origin story as a business owner. People love to know who you are. They love to meet the person behind it. And every single business out there has been inspired by a human being who got into the trenches and got dirty and did the work. So we need to know who you are, why you do what you do. And this is your chance to explain who you are and why entrepreneurship is important to you. This is also a place where you can put a photograph of yourself. Have a nice photo taken by a professional photographer so that you put your best foot forward when you present yourself in any of your online assets. Get some decent photographs taken and make sure that you use those when you are populating all of your online assets, and use the same photos again and again so that you begin to become familiar to the people who see you in different places. Then explain in words what you believe in. What are your core values? And very often these feel self-explanatory, and it helps to write them down. And here, don't be shy. Go into detail. Add as many words as you can that flesh out what you believe in and how you believe in it. Because core values are a great way to find both customers and staff. And if you're very, very clear on what your core values are, it helps you to create quick filters for assessing when you're dealing with people who you want to deal with, and when you're possibly facing somebody who maybe you shouldn't be dealing with because they aren't safe to deal with, or perhaps they're just so completely alien to the way you do things. Their way of doing things is just so different to yours that perhaps it won't be a comfortable fit. And understanding your core values early on can help to kind of save you quite a lot of heartache along the way, because it's a wonderful assessment tool for figuring out whether the people you are dealing with are ones you should be dealing with. Then tell the origin story of your business. Everybody wants to know what the story is. You know, every single story has stories of challenge, stories of triumph, and all of those should be shared with your communities and with your customers. If you have a very interesting origin story, very often it can help you to move your business forward. It gives you a lovely, inspiring narrative for people to follow. So figure out what those inspiring things are in the story of your business, and try to create some visual images around them, and just some written narratives that you can use and that people within your organization can use to then amplify it out to others. Then create a slide where you put in your whole business team and put in a photo of the real person. Tell us who they are and what their role is in the business. This will also help with strategic planning in terms of accountability and responsibilities. If everybody knows which team members are responsible for which roles in business. Then you also want to add a slide, how to reach us. So here you would put in the information that you would normally share with people, potential customers. And as businesses become more and more specialized and differentiated, this kind of communication is changing. So there are some businesses who would not include a phone number. There are some businesses who would prefer to add a LinkedIn address, whatever your preferred method of reaching out to people, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's through your website. How do people reach you, and how do you prefer for them to reach you? That's the information we need here, because that's also going to inform our strategy moving forward. It doesn't help we build a whole strategy around people contacting you on WhatsApp using the wonderful automated features in Facebook that can connect you on WhatsApp if you don't like to speak to people through WhatsApp. So it helps me to understand how you reach people. And this is where your contact information goes in, so that I can understand how to best shape a strategy for you moving forward that incorporates your preferred methods of communication. Then the next part of the slides is to create an online asset map. So this is basically where you're going to just plot out what online assets you already have. I don't know if you're anything like me. I was told that I had to be everywhere. I read all the stuff online, and for a while it said you had to be everywhere. So I made sure I was everywhere. So I have little online assets set up on almost every platform that exists. And then somewhere along the line, you realize that you spread too thin and that you need to bring it in and work with the ones that are working for you the best. And so that's why we create an online asset map, so that we can see what you've set up so far, what is working for you, what is not working for you. And we can make strategic decisions based on where you have your biggest networks. So I suggest you make a separate slide for each one. Here, I've just given you some ideas of what I'm talking about for online assets. So you could make a separate slide for each one, and then just give some detail. What is the URL where people can find that particular asset? Number of subscribers, number of monthly visitors, number of friends, any of that data, any of those metrics that you would use for measuring how big or how well or how much engagement you've got on those different assets is really, really useful. So you want to plot out whether you have a Facebook page, Facebook groups, a personal profile. Do you have YouTube, Twitter, a website, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn? Do you do a monthly newsletter that you send out? How many subscribers are on that list? Do you have niche lists for specific customer bases? How frequently do you communicate with them? All of that kind of information is what I would like you to put in here, because it's going to help you to get a snapshot of what you've got and what is working, and it will help to inform me if you would like to work with me on a strategy moving forward on what you've already established, so that we don't try and reinvent the wheel. If you've already done some great work, then we're just going to build on that. And then, of course, is there anything else? Because in this wide world of the internet today, we have all sorts of different things. Do you have a podcast? Are you teaching online courses? Do you have subscriptions? Do you have Pinterest? Do you have an SMS list that you send out SMSs to? If there is anything like that, please include it here in the online assets, so that we can get a big picture of what the whole snapshot looks like. And then we can move forward to create a strategy around that. Then once you've mapped out a slide for each one, try to then turn each of these slides into a little circle like this, and then using shapes and arrows, try to visually explain how your different assets relate to each other. So this is an example here of something that somebody in the craft industry might create. in arts and crafts, where it's quite visual. And they might have a YouTube channel, online courses, a subscription program, a bunch of groups on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, podcasts, and all sorts of things that are working into each other. You can use different colors of arrows for different kinds of traffic. So in this example here, the white arrows are where things are very active, and the green arrows are where things are more passive. And I almost like to think of it as the white arrows are where I'm going out hunting more actively, and the green arrows would be where I'm gardening and just feeding in information when I've got extra capacity to do things outside of the normal day-to-day. So yours will likely not be as complicated as this. It can be very, very simple if you only have one or two things set up by now. And don't panic if it is very, very simple. Simple is amazing because it means that we can plan very, very elegant, clear strategies where your energy is not dissipated. I can tell you a map like this is not very energy efficient. It might look very impressive because there's so much on it, and it is not very energy efficient because there isn't huge traction in any one of those spaces, because the entrepreneur who is driving this particular system is spread quite thin. All right, then the next section will be who is your ideal customer and what do they want? Very often when we try to create messaging that is too broad and we try to speak to everybody, nobody hears us because we're not speaking their specific language. So by figuring out who your customers are and creating customers' personas around that, you can learn to speak their language. And you want to create an ideal customer persona for different niches. So if you've got different niche customers that are very, very different, then you really need to do an exercise like this for each one of them. So this is where you define where they hang out online, what challenge you're solving for them, and what they are prepared to pay for. If you cannot answer those three very important questions, you almost don't have a business today. So if you are not solving a challenge for someone, you're very unlikely to get repeat business. If you're not solving a challenge they're prepared to pay for, so if it's a challenge they can solve for free, you're going to have a problem billing for it also. And then figure out where they hang out, because even if you have the solution, it's priced right, and you are not speaking to the right people where they hang out, the message is going to fall on deaf ears. I listened to a fantastic podcast the other day that mentioned that if you are not getting a yes answer, it's because you're asking either the wrong question or the wrong person. And this is where we figure out who is the right person to ask, what is the right question to ask them, and where are you going to find them to ask them. So you want to create a story based on the description of your ideal customer that includes information like motivating behaviors, needs, desires, technology use, and favorite platforms. By identifying and developing your typical customer personas, it makes it easier to see the most effective way to market to them. And it also helps us to shape the language that we're going to use to speak to them. Then, once you've created your customer personas, you need to do the same thing for your products. Now, for those of you who are starting out with one product, it's going to be very easy to do this. If you have a more well-developed business with many, many products, then I suggest you do this exercise with your products that are either your best sellers or the ones that have the biggest profit margins in, so that you work into the most efficient part of your system for this exercise. So you need to define what your products look like, and then how those relate to your various niche customers, so that you can then see how to sell to them. So for the next part of this analysis tool, we are going to work into efficiencies. So this is where you're going to ask these two simple questions. Which one of your products sells the fastest? And which product has the biggest profit margin? So this will give you both width and depth. So very often we've got products that sell really fast, but the margins are small. And it's normally your bread and butter type things. And those will keep you going, because those are the things that your customers buy again and again. And then you'll find you very often have another product that's sitting somewhere else that's a premium product that then has a nice big fat profit margin worked into it. So if you can identify those two products, and then focus on selling those two, you can achieve some fast wins. Now, I know that sounds very, very simplistic, but maybe go home and try this. So if you are not planning on buying any of the paid products and just want some free stuff because you're really broke and that's all you can afford, then take this tip home with you. Try doing what I have just described in the last 2 slides for 3 months and see where that gets you. And then get back to me and come tell me how it worked for you. You might be surprised at the results it might give you. Then working further into the efficiencies in the business. Entrepreneurs are always better and more efficient at doing the things we love. So if you can name 4 things that you absolutely love about your current business, write them down here. What are those 4 things that you absolutely love? And then on the next slide, you're going to add some ideas for yourself about how could you find ways to do more of this, so that you spend more time working in your bliss in your business and less time working in the stuff that you really don't enjoy. And when you're happier and more fulfilled working, typically we might make more money. Then it doesn't help if we focus on efficiencies and we don't do anything about the inefficiencies. So we've got to go to the other side of the spectrum and look at the things in your business that are inefficient right now. So name 4 of the things that you don't love about your current business. So there are going to be things that are going to grind you when you're doing it. Think about it. Figure out which those 4 things are and write them down, and write down why you don't love doing them. What is it about doing it that irritates you so much? Is it that it makes you bored? Is it that it makes you feel so tired and drained that you can't get to other things in your business that invigorate and excite you? What is it that you don't love about it? Is it that you hate admin? Is it that you really don't like selling? What is it? Why don't you love it? And then on the next slide, you're going to ask yourself, how can I reduce the amount of time I spend doing these things? So if you don't love it, you should either be creating a system that means you don't need it anymore, outsourcing it to somebody else, building a system that does it automatically. You know, you could automate it somehow. There's a bunch of different things that you could do differently so that you could reduce the amount of time you spend doing things you don't love. And if you can do away with those, you'll work more in your joy and your bliss, and you will make those parts of your business that you hate really, really efficient. Because if it's automated, then you never have to dig in that trench again. So I hope that was useful to you. And I'd love to hear your feedback on how that particular part of the tooling worked for you. All right. now we've spent some time in the what have you got? And the next step is to go into what would you like? What does the ideal dream look like? And only you know what that looks like. I'm not going to shape it for you in any way. I am simply here to create a holding space for the courage to dream what you want to dream. Now, at this point, I would like to invite you to dream big, dream bold, dream for yourself, dream for quality, and be courageous to ask for what you want, even if it sounds a little far-fetched, because the only way you're going to get to that far-fetched thing that you want is if you start working towards it. So be courageous to think bigger and dream that far-fetched dream. And on the next slide, I would like you in pictures, in your own pictures, if possible, to create what your ideal day would look like. And then make another slide. And even if it's many slides, what would your ideal day at work look and feel like? And then describe it in words. What would the quality of the day be like? What would the light be like? What would the interactions with other people be like? Would it be quiet and gentle? Would it be upbeat and invigorated? Would it be energized and loud? How do you like to spend your day? Do you like it to be a mixture of those things that kind of happens in waves? And how could that look so that you could have a happy life? Be brave, put it all in there. Then I would like you to sit back and just think for a while what progress would look like to you. So just think about where you are today, and if you could look back in a year's time at this exercise that you're doing right now, what would progress look and feel like to you looking back? Because that's going to help you now to look forward towards some goals that will be meaningful to you, that if you reach for them and you get to them at the end of the year, you're going to look back and say, wow, I made the progress that I wanted to make. That was awesome. So if you have gotten to this point in my slides, well done for completing step 1 of my 3-step process. I hope this helped you to sort your thoughts. Now, this is the point where we can decide, you can decide which way to go with things. So either you can grab this little tool, download it, populate it, and then use it to map your way forward. You know, you can work on it now, and then 6 months time, come back to it, work on it a little more and go, oh, I think I want to add this and I want to add that. I think I can see my strategic way forward on my own, now that it's all laid out in this clear way. Awesome. That's amazing. Good luck with your business. Please give me some feedback. I'd love some written feedback somewhere on the social networks just to hear how this helped you. And just so that you can tell other people out there how the process helped you. Then for those of you who would like to hear from me, I would love to walk a little further with you on this journey. So please, 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 if you would leave a few words for me explaining why and how the exercise helped you, I would love that very much. You can leave me a thank you card anywhere. So how does the process work? So if you want to go beyond just this little exercise, I have a 3-step process basically that is going to get you to your goals. And it works like this. So step 1 is that you do this online assessment. So you actually populate this slideshow with all of your information in Canva. And then we work together just to make it look right strategically. So you can either download it and use it for free, or you can pay me $297, and then I will give you some written feedback. So you will fill in the assessment and I will give you some written feedback. And in that written feedback, I will give you some of my suggestions and ideas for how I think you could grow moving forward. And I will give you three suggestions that you can go back and try to give you some easy, quick wins. So it'll just be 3, 1, 2, 3. Go try these 3 things. I think they'll help you. So those will be the 3 things that out of your assessment, I go, oh, wow, I think this can give you something moving forward quickly. So if you just want 3 quick wins, that's what you get for your $297. And that will be a little written assessment where I just say, okay, I've read this assessment that you filled in, and this is the 3 things I think you can try. Then if you have a bigger business, maybe you've got a big team that you're working with on all your social network assets, and it's not just as simple as filling in the little Canva tool and then running with it, and you actually need a clear strategy that includes all your team members and some deliverables and some key performance indicators and the metrics and all of those wonderful things. Then that is $2,999 for that process. So that would normally involve 2 to 3 sessions with your whole marketing team in Zoom, where we really, really dig into what you've got, what your business goals are, what your brand goals are, and then we create some strategies moving forward around that. Normally, we would create 1 or 2 key strategies that the whole company can follow that are very clear and easy, and that will then take you forward again to some quick wins. Then for some businesses, they take that assessment and as a team, they then leave with it and work with it because they feel that they are empowered and accountable and disciplined enough to go through the process and stick to the goals that we set in the process. Some of the other businesses that I work with want an accountability partner. So if you want an accountability partner to make sure that you stick to the plan that we create in step 2, then that service is $597 per month. And that normally involves a Zoom session every month, maybe 1 or 2, with your marketing teams, with your social media teams, to discuss with them, just make sure that everybody else is on track, everybody is delivering what they said they would deliver, and just make sure that over time we continue to move towards the goals that we set in the second step, and that those goals don't get forgotten in the day-to-day of the business. Then, of course, I have a special offer for those of you who want to commit to the process. If you want to commit to 6 months in advance, so that you make sure that for at least 6 months you stick to that process, I have a special offer of $3,000. You save $600 in that price. So that's a 20% saving on that price. So if you sign up for 6 months in advance, then it's only $3,000 for the 6 months of accountability presence with me. So that's how it all works. You can decide whether you just want to skim the surface and use the downloadable tool, or whether you want to get into some deeply strategic conversations with me. You can decide how you would like to do this. You can tailor it to your budget and your needs. Yeah, that is the story. So please get in touch. If you would like to chat with me any further about this process, if you have any more questions, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me either on WhatsApp or on my email. I would love to chat with you. Have a beautiful day.